Hello and welcome back. And if this is your first time here, hey, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Today I have a special treat for you. It's strawberry season, and what better way to use your strawberries than to make a strawberry rhubarb pie? This is personally one of my favorite pies, and I love it. This is the perfect time to get creative with your strawberries. So if you're interested in seeing how I created my very own strawberry rhubarb pie, stay tuned and I'll show you just how easy it can actually be. Now, I must say I am quite lucky that I have some rhubarb that grows in my backyard. All I did was I went out and twisted the stalk and pulled it out. If you don't have rhubarb growing naturally in your area, you can find them at most grocery stores. For this, I'm going to chop up our rhubarb, first removing any ends that might be dried out, moldy, or just don't look very appetizing, and cutting them up into about a 1/4 inch piece. Now, it's okay if they're not exactly 1/4 inch pieces, just try to keep it consistent. The thin, small stalks tend to be a little sweeter than the thicker stalks like I have, though you are adding some sugar to this, so it doesn't really matter that much. For this recipe, you will need 3 cups of chopped rhubarb. Go ahead, put them in a large bowl. Now you're going to take a whole pint of strawberries. Let's go ahead, dump them out, clean them off, and chop them into some uniform pieces. To that bowl, we're going to add 2/3 of a cup of sugar. I told you we were going to add some. And follow that up with 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. Stir the mixture until it is fully incorporated, all of the sugar and cornstarch is mixed through, and it turns thick and syrupy. Now this took a little bit of mixing, so be patient, but you'll see it all come together eventually. Took about a minute or 2. Now, if you have the time or you're feeling extra fancy, you can make your own pie crust, but I'm using store-bought. Now take one of your pie shells, put it aside for later, we will use it after, and poke some holes into one of them. Then we are going to fill our pie crust. Now, here's a tip from me. Don't overfill your pie crust. You're going to have some leftover because the pie shell is not a deep dish pie shell and it's fairly small. I'm taking the other pie shell that I put aside and flipping it over and gently removing it from the tin. Now, this is totally optional, but I am going to cut mine into strips and do a lattice pattern on top of the pie. So again, totally optional. You can just watch how I do it, or you can flip that pie crust on top of your pie and just crimp the edges and you have a fully sealed pie. Don't forget to cut a little vent hole in the top to let steam escape. Once you have your lattice completed, go ahead with a brush, wet the crust, and pinch it with a fork. This will keep the pie crust lattice all together and on your pie, because that's what we want, right? I had an extra strip that I didn't really know what to do with and didn't want to waste, so I cut out a heart shape, moved it over, and used it as a stencil and cut out a bunch of little hearts. Again, this is totally optional, but I just like how it looks. Go ahead and use some more water to glue your hearts on top of your lattice pattern. This part's important. Make sure you put your pie onto a baking sheet. I can tell you from the results of this pie, it does leak, and you don't want that going all over your oven. It's a sticky, syrupy mess. So put it on a pie sheet and bake at 375 degrees for 55 to 65 minutes. I was closer to 65 minutes. Once you're done, your pie should look something like this. Look how wonderful and syrupy this pie is. Now, you can go ahead and enjoy this pie right away or freeze it for a special occasion. Just reheat it gently in the oven. I hope you enjoyed this recipe and you give it a try this strawberry season. Until next time, take care. Bye!